Yeah, thank you. And I want to talk about context creation and data. And we just heard how dark that data might be, but I think that after this, it will be more light. Few words about Bisnode. We are a company who want to enable our customers to make smart decisions. In order to do that, we provide them with reliable and accurate information regarding marketing, credit, and risk. Some of that data is fact-based, others statistically predicted based on facts. And we have vast amounts of data and information about companies, persons, as well as buildings, properties, and vehicles. And we are covered in 18 different countries in the Europe. When talking about IoT, we want to be an enabler of how you can use your own data together with our data or our partners' data in order to understand the complex phenomena behind that data. We see that there is at least two different levels of IoT data. The first level being a simple one where you only get notice when something has changed or is going to be broken or full, and then you react to that. And then the second level is data related to more complex phenomena that you cannot understand only based on the IoT data, but you need also external data in order to make sense out of it. And we try to help in this second case. I will first talk about IoT data and the context and how to create that context, and then I will give you a couple of examples how we have done that. When talking about Internet of Things, I would also say that it's about Internet of Data. So we have vast quantities of data from multiple sources and coming simultaneously that we need to process and understand. It's more than just big data. It's more also structured maybe than normal internet big data. And sometimes it's very hard to understand and find relationships to other data. And therefore, it might be hard to interpret and find meaning in it. When interpreting this kind of data, the context becomes the king and enables understanding and decision making. I define context as a situation where within something happens or exists. And when talking about IoT data, the context becomes important when we try to explain, analyze, and understand the data and its qualities, its relationships to other phenomena that happens around it. And if we don't have that kind of context, it's very hard to make meaningful decisions based on the data and based on the other related data. Then when I talk about context and context creation, to create context for IoT data, we need to connect it to something. And what we have vast amounts of data about people, companies, properties, buildings, vehicles, which we can then try to combine, meaning that we find some relation between the IoT data and this kind of external describing data. And of course, if we can find a natural key from the data, it's much easier to do this kind of mapping, but sometimes it's not possible. And then we can use, for example, location or time, or then other correlated data points from the two data sets to make a connection. And we use tools such as SAS, Enterprise Guide, and Enterprise Myller, KNIME, and R for statistical analysis, as well as QGIS and Carto if this kind of location-based data is available. We have also created services where you can do this kind of combination of data in web-based form or through APIs. So you can connect the data yourself as well, and we are just the data provider in that case. Sometimes it might be difficult when talking about the opportunities, difficult to find all the needed pieces of data within the company's own data warehouses, or they may not be even available. And external combined with company's own IoT data can then provide faster context creation as well as meaning making, and therefore deliver decisions and results early on. IoT data could be also in a different context. So we could, for example, have two different data sets combined in order to create something totally new and something that we could monetize, or you could monetize yourself. Meaning that if we have just a forestry harvester, it might be totally different meaning of that forestry harvester data if you combine it with forest and land property data. So how much forest you have in a certain land property. And I will talk about that as an example later on. And when you use this kind of data combination and external data to create context to your data, it becomes you get a more holistic view on the data that you have. And in that way, you might also find new business cases within your own company. I think then the biggest challenge with all of this IoT data and combining and creating context for it is the large quantities of data and the heterogeneity of the data. How can you combine it if you have too much of it, so to speak? So you have kind of a data burps. And this can be, of course, overcome with better planning and doing starting small and then scaling once you find the right kind of results. Sometimes also the resources might be scarce, and if no suitable and available capabilities are within the company, and then there is a possibility to collaboration with other parties. Sometimes also the data accuracy and also reliability is a problem. Not all of these IoT devices are as reliable and as secure as they maybe should be. And this can be, of course, overcome by using outlier detection, as well as collaborating with the manufacturers in order to enhance the quality. Okay, let's move on then to to the example number 1. I have here a case where we have combined property information, forestry information, together with IoT data in order to help finances. And also estimate the collateral value of some property. This all started with a kind of unfortunate example where a piece of property containing forest was a collateral for 500,000 euros for a loan from the bank. The estimation was done based on visit to the site as well as earlier publicly available records. However, a year later, the same property was sold for 50,000 euros. So you can imagine that the director of the bank wasn't very happy. And what was the reason? Well, the actual property looked like this. So there has been a harvester visiting the property, and most of the forest was sold out, and that's why the piece of land was not anymore that valuable. We discussed with the bank in order to find a solution. How could they get a more real-time value of their properties that are as the bank's collaterals? And we found out that most of these forest harvesters have a very, very good IoT capabilities, that they collect a lot of data regarding what they have actually done within the area. And when combining that data together with the property data that we had, as well as the forestry information, so how much forest on each part of the land and what type of forest there are, we could then estimate what is the current amount of wood in each of the areas. So, for example, in these two locations, there were done harvesting. The location A, there was only a minor harvesting done, whereas in the location B, almost all of the woods, or more than half of the woods, were cut down, meaning that it looked more or less like this. Then the second example is about blockchain and how to use that for risk and compliance. We did a collaboration with these area experts in order to find out what could we understand and what could we find out if we combine our company data with this kind of cryptocurrency trader data. And what we were able to find was that we could, in certain cases, predict fraud and breach as well as bankruptcy more early compared to if we just used our company data or if they used just the cryptocurrency trading data. Moreover, we could also enhance our company data information so that we could get and mark companies who did crypto trading. And also we could find ways how that crypto trading was affecting their balance sheet. So what part of the revenue was actually coming from the cryptocurrency trading. And then a third and final example. During last autumn, we had organized a hackathon where a winning team of the hackathon was using our people data and combined it with publicly available data regarding bus stops usage. And by doing that, they were able to predict what kind of persons actually used each of the bus stops in order to then target bus stops ads better. And in the future, when that data is then combined with IoT data, for example, the NFC tags that some of those bus stops already have, or then the IoT data from the recognition that some of those ads already have, where you can detect what is the gender or what age of the viewer of the ad is. We can do even more targeted ads for each of the bus stops. So we could kind of talk almost that it's direct marketing. And just to summarize, context creation is important part of IoT analysis, and it's important and to have this kind of new external data sources used in order to speed up the process. And also, it's important to monetize your IoT data, and to do that, you normally need to also combine it with external data, so that you get more, or other businesses get more out of your IoT data. And that's all for today, so thank you very much.